Hi everyone, I'm going to continue the series of the Yalkut Yosef over here. We are now in Dinei Tfilat Musaf b'Shabbat over here. And we're talking about, we're going to start it off on, we are actually in Siman 286 in Halacha Aleph over here. The prayer for the coming month. What do we do on Shabbat within regards to that? Pashat minhag b'Shabbat, shelifnei Rosh Chodesh, levarech et HaChodesh acha kriyat HaTorah, v'nahagu levarech et HaChodesh ma'umad. V'yesh makomot shenahagu lazkir et HaMolad. So it's become the universal custom that on the Shabbat preceding Rosh Chodesh, we recite a special prayer for the upcoming month over here. There are places where the custom is to announce at that time when the moment of the new moon will take place. But that is not our custom. This special prayer is recited for every month, except on the Shabbat preceding the month of Tishrei. יש מקומות שנהגו להזכיר את המולד, אך אין מנהג כל הספרדים להכריז על המולד, ומכריזים על כל החודשים, מלבד חודש תשרי. ושבת הסמוכה לתעניות י"ז בתמוז ו10 בטבת. השליח ציבור מכריז לפני מוסף על הצום שחל ביום פלוני, אבל על שעה תעניות לא נהגו להכריז, מפני שהם יודעים ומפורסמים. באשכנזים אין מכריזים על שום צום בשבת. On the Shabbat preceding the fast of the 17th of Tammuz and the Shabbat preceding the fast of the 10th of Tevet, the cantor makes a special announcement before the Musaf prayer and tells the congregation on which weekday the fast will take place. No announcement is made on the Shabbat preceding any other fast, since their dates are well known. Ashkenazic Jews do not announce the dates of any fast on Shabbat. Okay, that's the thing there. Now, proper time for Musaf, when is it? Zman Tfilat Musaf, hu miyad achat Tfilat Shachrit, ve'en lachara yoter ma'ad sof sheva sha'ot ma'yom. ואם לא יתפלל מוסף ועבר 7 שעות, אף על פי כן יתפלל מוסף, אלא שנקרא פושע. ואם עבר היום, אין לה תשלומין לערב. Over there. The proper time for the Musaf prayer is immediately after Shacharit prayer. It's forbidden to delay it until after 7 seasonal hours have passed. If someone did delay reciting the Musaf prayer until later in the afternoon, he should recite then. If someone did not recite it at all during the day, he cannot compensate for it at night. Okay, Halacha 3, Gimel. We're talking about individuals being obligated over here. כל יחיד חייב להתפלל מוסף, בין אם יש ציבור בעיר, בין אם אין ציבור בעיר. שאף שתפילת מוסף נתקנה כנגד קורבן מוסף, מכל מקום חובת יחיד היא. So every individual is going to be obligated to do the Musaf prayer, whether they're in a congregation or not in the congregation. It's on the person, incumbent on the person itself, to do the Musaf prayer, because naturally it says the Korban Musaf. Halacha Daled. Now we're talking about children. מחנכים את הקטנים שהגיעו לחינוך להתפלל מוסף, וגם מי שלא הגיע לגיל 20 שנה חייב בתפילת מוסף, וגם רשאי לעמוד כשליח ציבור במוסף. One who is less than 20 years old is equally obligated to recite the Musaf prayer as one who is 20 years old or more. It is perfectly acceptable for a teenager to serve as cantor for the Musaf prayer. Fathers are obligated to train their sons to recite Musaf once they have reached the age of chinuch. Over here. Preliminary passages. Halacha number Hey over here. Siman 286. קודם תפילת מוסף נוהגים לומר אשרי יושבי ביתך וחצי קדיש. ואם רוצים לקיים את דרשות הרב קודם תפילת מוסף, נכון שהרב ידרוש אחר סיום ההפטרה קודם אמירת אשרי. ואם הדרשה התקיימה אחר אשרי, אין צריך לחזור ולומר אשרי לפני תפילת מוסף. The custom is to recite the passage of Ashrei Yeshvei V'techa and a half Kaddish before the Musaf prayer. If there is to be a lecture by the rabbi delivered before the Musaf prayer, it is recommended that the lecture be delivered immediately after the reciting of the Haftarah, before the reciting the passage of Ashrei. If a lecture is delivered after the passage of Ashrei, it's not necessary to recite that passage a second time before Musaf over here. Now, within regards to women, do they have to say Nashim paturot mitfilat hamusafin shel Shabbatot v'yamin tovim v'roshei chodashim. So they are actually not obligated to say these tefillot over here, those respective ones of Shabbat, Yom Tov, and Rosh Chodesh. Okay, v'tov shishma'u את התפילה מפי השליח ציבור. But it's good to listen to the prayers of the shliach tzibur, so to come to Ezrat Nashim. Nachon sharab yidrosh achas yom haftara kodem amrat ashrei. It's correct that the rabbi would actually give some words, a sermon, before this ashrei. Im hadrasha hitkayma achar ashrei, ein tzarich lachsov v'lomar ashrei lifnei tfilat musaf. So you say ashrei first, then the rabbi says a drasha. You don't go back to ashrei afterwards. You can continue where you left off. Okay. Oh, sorry. I'll just go back to the halacha also. I just repeated the previous one the last time. Nashim p'tzorot mitfilat musafin shel Shabbat b'yom tov Rashi chodeshim. They're not obligated, but tov shishmo et tefilot mevi shliach tzibur. It's good to listen to the chazan. They should be in the Ezrat Nashim. U'mekom ma'akom im mitvalot musaf ein limchot biyadan sheyesh lahen al ma sheyismachu. Aval lechatchila yesh leorot lahen shelo litpalel musaf. Yesh mi sheomer she'al kol panim חייבות להתפלל מוסף של ראש שנה ויום כיפורים משום דרחמי נינהו. Over here. If a woman insists on reciting the Musaf tefillah for herself, it's not necessary to protest her practice since there's halachic basis for her to rely on. Nevertheless, women should be taught that it is best that they not recite the Musaf prayer. Many poskim ruled that a woman is obligated to recite the Musaf prayer of Rosh Hashanah and of Yom Kippur, since it includes many vital requests pertinent to every person. Women are likewise obligated to recite the Ne'ilah prayer of Yom Kippur for similar reasons. Correct version. Okay, so halacha zayin. B'musaf shel Shabbat ra'u yoter lomar hanusach tachanat Shabbat shu al seder tafshin reish kuf. Okay. The proper custom, as taught by the Arizal, is to recite the text of Tachanat Shabbat in Amida of Musaf for Shabbat. Over here. That's Tfilat. Okay. Umakom shenoagim hakahal lomar Moshe Tzavit Rashai kol yachid lishnot miminhagam v'lomar Tachanat Shabbat. It's proper that they should say Tachanat Shabbat, not another Tfilah, but Tfilat halachash. Okay. Umakom hashliach tzibur b'chazara yamal Moshe Tzavit k'minhagam. Okay. So what's going on, friends? In a congregation where the custom is to recite the passage of the Moshe Tzavita, instead of this text, any individual wishes to recite the text of Tachanat Shabbat while reciting the silent Amida of Musaf. Only when the cantor recites a repetition, he must follow the custom of that specific congregation. Halacha 8 now here. Yesh omrim, shishloma tiknat Shabbat. Umikol makom minhag omrim tiknat Shabbat hu yoter nachon v'chena minhag. The more correct custom is to say Tachanat Shabbat in the congregations, to actually say that with the letter Kuf over there. Oh, but wait, sorry. It says it's more correct to say Tachanat Shabbat with the letter Kaf, and this is the common custom. I made a mistake there. The letter Ta, when you're saying Tachanat Shabbat, it should be done with a Chaf. It's more correct, the Kaf, than the Kuf itself inside the words. Sorry. Cantor's repetition of it, the Chazan's repetition. יש לנהוג בכל קהילות ישראל לעשות חזרה גם בתפילת מוסף של שבת ביום טוב בתקנת חז"ל. In every community, the Musaf prayer should be recited once silently by the congregation and then repeated by the cantor over here. ובפרט במקומותינו, שהתורה מחזרת על אכסניה שלה, בארץ ישראל היא כיום מרכז התורה בעולם. ורבו שיעורי התורה, תלמודי התורה וישיבות הקדושות, לפיכך אם יש באיזו מקומות קצת מהקהל המשוחחים באמצע חזרת השליח הציבור במוסף, יש להסביר להם חומה האיסור שבדבר על שימנעו מכך. In every community, the Musaf prayer should be recited once silently by the congregation and then repeated by the cantor. This is despite the fact that there were some communities where the cantor's repetition was deleted from the service. In the land of Israel today, especially being the world's Torah capital abounding with yeshivot, Torah day schools and adult classes, there is no excuse to do away with the cantor's repetition of the Musaf tefillah over here. You should not do away with that at all. ומי שמערער נגד מנהגנו וטוען שמכיוון שלא נהגו בעירו לעשות חזרה לתפילת מוסף, יש לנהוג כן בבתי כנסת של עדתם. אינו אלא טועה, שהרי יש בזה איסור לא תתגודדו ואין לשנות מנהגי ירושלים. Okay, so friends, what's going on here? Some people in the congregation continually converse with one another during the Chazan's repetition of Musaf, they should be admonished. Obviously, naturally, they shouldn't speak inside it, and taught that such behavior is forbidden. If anyone counters that the custom in his Kehillah in another country was to delete the Musaf's repetition, the Chazan's repetition, we should explain to him that in the land of Israel we must follow the customs of Yerushalayim, and it's forbidden to practice other customs that counter the customs of Jerusalem, according to the Saka edition. Okay, Halacha Yud. Postpone the Torah reading. What if that was postponed over here? ציבור שרוצים להתפלל שחרית ומיד לאחריה מוסף ואחר הסעודה מתקבצים לקרוא בתורה, אין נכון לעשות כן, ורק בשעת הדחק יש להתיר לעשות כן. If a congregation wishes to institute a practice of reciting the Musaf prayer immediately after Shacharit and then go home to enjoy the Shabbat meal and then come to the synagogue again to read the weekly Torah portion, this is an incorrect practice. It may be used only in a case of an emergency. Yud Aleph, eating before the Musaf Tehillah. HaKohanim nos'im kipehem b'tfilat Musaf. U'mitzvah al kol HaKohanim שבית הכנסת לשעת כפיהם וכהן שצריך לקדש ולשתות רביעית יין ולטעום פירות ומקדנות קודם תפילת מוסף. אינו רשאי לישא כפיו בתפילת מוסף, ואפילו לעניין תפילת מוסף עצמה יש לצדד בזה אם מותר לו להתפלל מיד לאחר ששתה רביעית יין, והכל לפי מה שהוא אדם. ועל כל פנים, מטעם, זה מתירים לטעום קודם מוסף ולא קידוש על היין. שיש אומרים שקודם מוסף עדיין לא חלה חובת קידוש, ויש אומרים שמותר לטעום קודם קידושה רבה. ואם כן, הווי ספק ספיקה להקל לטעום קודם מוסף בלי קידוש. ואם יש לו כזית עוגה, יקדש על היין וישתה ממנו רוב רביעית בלבד, ויאכול כזית עוגה ויוצא בזה לכל הדיות. The Kohanim bless the congregation from on the front stage of the synagogue during the cantor's repetition of Musaf. Each Kohen present in the synagogue is obligated to perform the mitzvah. If a Kohen must eat before reciting the Musaf Tefillah, the best choice is to recite Kiddush over a cup of wine, but drink less than a revit of the wine, and then eat kazait or the cake. If he would recite Kiddush, drink revit of wine, and eat some sweets and fruit before reciting the Musaf prayer, it would be forbidden for him to bless the congregation during the cantor's repetition of Musaf. Furthermore, it may be that he is forbidden to recite the Musaf Tefillah altogether once he has drunken revit of wine. Therefore, if the Kohen must eat and he does not have the kazait or cake, he should eat without reciting Kiddush, naturally. In this case, he can rely upon the poskim who ruled that the obligation to recite the daytime Kiddush begins only after one recites the Musaf prayer, or upon those who ruled that one may snack in the daytime before reciting the Kiddush. Okay, now we're on Halacha 12. קבע בירנו שאם טעה והקדים להתפלל מוסף לפני שחרית, בדיעבד יצא ידי חובת. If someone mistakenly recited the Amidah of Musaf before reciting the Amidah of Shacharit, he nevertheless has fulfilled his obligation. Over here. שליח ציבור שטעה והתחיל הקדושה תחנת שבת חוזה לתא הקדוש ולא לראש התפילה. If the cantor, after reciting the Kedusha during the repetition of the Midah of Shacharit, mistakenly begins to recite Tachanat Shabbat, which is the text of the Amidah of Musaf, he must begin again, starting from the passage of Ata Kadosh. It's not necessary to begin the Amidah a second time. He should not say it again at this point in time. Now, we're talking about reciting Musaf in the afternoon. What's the din over there? Yachid shnit akev militpalel Musaf ad shegiya zman mincha. 6 שעות וחצי מהיום צריך להקדים להתפלל של מנחת תחילה ואחר כך להתפלל מוסף. If an individual did not recite the Musaf Tefillah until the time when one may recite the Mincha prayer, naturally, which is 6.5 hours after daybreak, he must recite the Mincha prayer before the Musaf prayer over here. וכן, אם נאנס ולא להתפלל שחרית של שבת, ונזכר אחר שהגיע זמן מנחה, יתפלל תפילת מנחה, ואחר כך תפילת מוסף, ואחר כך תפילת התשלומים של שחרית. ואם יש לו זמן רק בשביל להתפלל תפילה אחת בלבד, יש לו להעדיף להתפלל תפילה מנחה ולא מוסף. Okay. One may not even recite a voluntary Amidah on Shabbat, just as it would be impossible to bring a voluntary sacrifice on Shabbat. The only practical solution is to find a congregation that is about to recite Musaf and serve them as the cantor. He can then recite the cantor's repetition, but not the silent Amidah, and fulfill his obligation in that manner. In this case, when he completes the repetition, and before he recites Kaddish Titkaval, he should take 3 steps back and silently recite the verse of Oseh Shalom B'Rumav. Okay. Okay, so now we are on Zion over here. This is going to be a few more halachot for the day. בשבת בראש חודש אומרים במוסף, אתה יצאת וחותמים מקדש השבת בישראל בראשי חודשים. ואם טעה וחטא מקדש השבת בלבד יצא. אבל אם חטא רק בשל ראש חודש לא יצא. When Shabbat coincides with Rosh Chodesh, we recite a special Amidah for Musaf beginning with אתה יצאת. And the 4th blessing over here concludes with Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadesh Shabbat Yisrael Roshei Chodeshim. If someone mistakenly concluded with a blessing with the only words of Mekadesh Shabbat, he has fulfilled his obligation. If he concluded the blessing with the words Mekadesh Yisrael Roshei Chodeshim and did not add the words Shabbat, he has not fulfilled his obligation and he must repeat it. So we're going to continue this next time round in Halacha Yud Chet towards the end of the Siman.